Hello YouTubers, this is Condor Man Do-It-Yourself Projects. I'm working on my 1996 Honda Civic CX model car, and I thought I would make a video on the speed sensor replacing. So this is the speed sensor right here, this piece down here. It mounts inside on the top of the transmission here for the speedometer. And this right here is where the problem is. So this connector, this grayish colored connector here, the mechanic had put female and male terminals on the wiring harness here that goes right into the engine, into the computer harness, not the computer harness, but the harness for the wires. And so what I need to do is put a brand new connector on. I'll show you that in a second. Now, this is the switch, or the connector that you buy at O'Reilly's. And like I said, I'm not sponsored with them or anything, but this is the part number. And this is the connector right here. It's got like a table T's on it, two T's, two I's. And this plugs into the speed sensor right here. Those two line up with those two eyes there and with the three terminals sticking up, and that's what plugs in. And then this down here has a gear on it, and it goes down in the hole. So from right here where I'm tapping my finger, let's see if you can see here, right here my finger is, ring finger is, that goes down in the hole, and then you have a bolt that goes through this hole right here that comes out. Now if you ever take that out, you're going to want to put PB Blaster on there, and you're going to want to spray it on there several times so it soaks in good. Then you're going to take your ratchet and you're going to turn it round and round, you know, in, out, in, out, in, out, because that bolt's been in there a long time and you don't want it to break off. So that's what I had to do. I had to take it in, out, and then until it loosened up good enough to where I can turn it out, because it's a pretty long bolt. And so at any rate, so now I'm going to go back and show you what we got to do here. Now that I have it out of the bag, this is what it looks like. So there's a T connector right there. Of course, it comes with 3 wires, and here's the wires right here. Now this simply, if you take this how it's lined up, you got the right here where you got the notch where this clip right here goes in there. It's a push button like so. And it just clips right into there, and you'll hear it click. It just pops down there snug like so. This is how it's supposed to look when it's all done. So mine's all corroded. Mine was all corroded. I don't know if you can see down in there, but it's green. So it was all corroded. And so I replaced it with another one. I got mine on Geek's Car, you know, website, and this was the order number right here where the one that I had. I don't know if this number will do you any good. I'm trying to get it clear. There we go. This sun's kind of bright outside, so right there it gives you the part number. If you go on Car Geeks online, you can purchase it there, or you can purchase it at O'Reilly's or any other parts store. Now the color code on this connector, and here's the connector right here, a more close-up view. Mine's all corroded. See how it's corroded in green and black and rusted in places. So I'm thinking that's why the speedometer doesn't work, because of this connector. It's connected to the speed controller. So the speed controller may or may not be good. I replaced it, and it still didn't make a difference. So what I got to do is take off those female connectors, and there's the male connectors down there that you can see right here. This is what the mechanic put on inside a protective sleeve for the male. There's the male. You see the minus sign there. That's the male. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to splice onto these wires right here the female end. So we're going to do that right now together. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I got you set up here. So I'm going to take these connectors right here, so I can show you a bigger one so you can see a little bit better. But this wire connector right here is basically, so Where the blue rings are, it's kind of like a heat shrink, like heat shrink tubing. And that's gonna, when you heat that up with a lighter or a heat gun, that's going to shrink around the wire so that it doesn't move. Now where you see this silver right here, where I'm tapping my finger, that's solder that's made inside the tube. So you heat that up with a lighter or a heat gun that you can get at Harbor Freight. And these I ordered online in about a 500-piece set, real cheap. I mean, they were probably like $12 for this whole set here. And it comes with shrink tubing and all different sizes for the wire. So what I normally do is I put this heat shrink right here on the wire when I put it on there, and I'll heat that up too. So it puts a better seal on this connector, which this connector right here is a lot smaller than one I'm going to use, because this is a big one, just so you can see what it looks like. So what I'm going to do now is just let me see here, I'm just going to show you how to strip the wires, and then I'll put this all together. So this is the old connector right here, so we don't need this one anymore. And so I'm going to take this new connector. I'm going to leave all this long wire on here because I might need to pull it out, be a lot easier. So these are just wire strippers. You can get at, you know, Home Depot, Lowe's. Just makes it a lot easier to trim the wire real quick, like so. Pop, boom, just like that. You got instant cable remover. I really like these because they work really well. I got these, I think, at Home Depot. And I just simply do that and trim the terminal wire off there. And I just twist them like so it don't unravel when I stick it in the shrink tube there. So these right here are probably going to be the right size. They're really small, and they fit in there perfectly. As you can see, it's real tight. So what I usually do is I take these little shrink tubes and I put them, this is just for more protection, I'm just going to slide that down there to the end so it don't come off. And then I'm going to slide this one down on the other end like so that I can heat shrink that on later. I'm going to slide that all the way down also. And we'll grab another one and put the same on the third wire. It just makes the wire a little stiffer and you don't have to worry about it coming off. And it's watertight and probably moisture too. Help with the corroding or whatever. Alright, so now I need to grab some wire terminals here. I'm going to go ahead and slide these on there while I have it up here. We're just simply sliding that down a little bit, and I'll put the same thing on this end. Well, you know what I'm thinking here. So let's see, what am I doing here? Nope, we're going to scratch that. We're not going to do it this way. I have to do it a different way because I wasn't clearly thinking on that part, because I would already thought of doing it this way, but then I thought, no, I can't do it that way because I got to put male and female ends, but I can still use a shrink wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these connectors. We still need the lighter and all that. So I got to grab some connectors in here. Alright, so these, well, those are yellow. Let's see if I got any red ones in here. I do, but they're not exactly the ones I prefer to use for this particular project. So I believe we'll just use the yellow ones. It doesn't really matter. I mean, they're not really power wires, they're just connectors for this junction part here. Oh, that's a male one. I don't know how that got in there. Well, they must have male and female in here. Alright, well at least we got three. We only have two males. That's kind of weird. I guess they must have used one on a different project or something. So there we go, have that done. Pop that back in my box here. So we're just gonna use these 3 females here, because you got male already on the car like I showed you earlier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to crimp these on, and I got these at Harbor Freight. I'm not sponsored or anything, nor am I sponsored at Home Depot or Lowe's or anything else, but this is the tool that I use, and it works really good. I think I paid maybe $8 for it. So I'm just going to simply make sure these are done that way, and then I'm going to stick these in here. You know what, I think I'm going to strip off a little bit more, because this wire is skinnier and I want to ball it up a little bit. So I'm going to pull that off of there to give me a little bit more wire to shove into that female terminal thing there, so that I'll get a better bite on my wire and a better connection for the long run here. I'll go ahead and strip this one back also some more. Give me a little bit more wire, because the hole for the female connector there is bigger. So therefore, if I get a little bit more wire up in there, then maybe that'll make a better connection for this job here. So I'm just going to simply twist these up like this, like so, to make sure they're all nice and braided, so when I put them in there they don't unravel on me, which typically happens if you don't twist it here, like so. Alright, so I'm trying to talk a little louder, because outside from other videos it seems to be a little noisy, and don't realize it until after you go back and re-watch the video. So I'm simply just going to turn the wire into kind of like a little bit of a ball here, like so. I'm just going to make it into a ball like this, so that now we got a really thick wire, and this here is it's a bigger slot down here. As you can see, the hole in there is a little bit bigger. So I'm simply going to put the bigger part down in there so that it makes a better connection. As you look up in the hole here, you can see that the wire is well, you know, filling up the hole, and there's some sticking out right here on the end, which is fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and crimp it down here. So you just spread them apart. What I do is put them on the flat part right here, where you have the you know, little drill slot there, and you got the drill slot on this part also. I can get a good view of it here in the camera. I don't use this part, because this part tends to cut into the connector and the wire, and sometimes it doesn't make a good connection, it just pulls out. So I'm just simply going to crimp it here using this middle part, which usually works the best. I'm just simply going to just squish it down like so, and then give it a good hard squeeze like that. And then I'm going to move up the wire just a little more, because the squeezer part's not as long, till you hear it crunch, and then you pull on a little bit. Notice it's good and tight, like so. You pull on it, and it's in there good. As you can see, it's well crimped. Here's the result there. Next, we're going to do the other one the same way. So I'm going to roll this up in a ball a little bit until I get down to that size, like so. Might be able to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better here what I'm doing. Then we'll take this terminal over here. We'll put in right there in the tube a little bit, so that the wire is good in, so you can see it in there, just like the other one. I'm going to go ahead and crimp that one in there also. I'm hoping you're doing yours at the same time. That way I feel like I have company here. Alright, so I've squished that, moved the tool down just a little bit and squish it again. Make sure it gets a good hard, and as you can see, that one's really good also. And then got my other one over here, and we'll do that one too. I like doing things together. It makes you feel like you're part of the video, just like I'm doing it, and we both have fun, and you learn and I learn, and we all have fun doing this together, which is a little more enjoyable than just talking to yourself or at the camera. So therefore, I'm going to shove that up in there. Well, I think I must have missed the slot there because the wire is kind of squishing back out. So let me re-put it in there. Let me turn my female to end here and see if I can't get that wire to come up through. It's kind of, this one's a little thicker for whatever reason. Maybe the wire was just a little bit longer. So let me see if I can squish it down a little bit here to get it to slide in there better. There we go. It's sliding in there now. Well, I say that, but it doesn't seem to want to go in. We're inside the tube, which is good enough. It's just not sticking out like the other one. I think I got it now. So I had to shove on a little bit harder there. Alright, now we'll put our crimper tool in there. Yep, I just pulled the wire out. Hey, goofball, what'd you do that for? Alright, so we'll squish that down there. Until I hear it crunch. You can always hear it crunch when you put it in there. And I move the tool down a little bit. Sometimes you got to push it against your hip or your side, just so you get a good crimp. I think I'm going to move that one back just a little bit more because it looks like it can go a little bit further back. Alright, heard it crunch. That's good and sturdy. So, because all these wires are kind of tight together, and it, see this part right here slides inside of the collar on the other one. So this will slide inside the collar to the other one, which is inside of a protective sleeve, and it allows it to not hit and contact together, so you don't get any sparks or nothing like that. Now what I do with this these heat shrink tubes right here is I slide them all the way down to the end here, and I shove them in there to make sure that the wire, here we are, make sure that the wire is, you know, not exposed in any way. So I'll put that on there, and then I'll heat that up with the lighter here. So I just make sure the wires are protected. So I just give it a good heat up here, a little bit of flame here. Don't go on there too much because it can burn the wire, but in this case, just enough heat there to protect it there. So the same as you do on this one over here, just simply slide it all the way down to it's inside the connector there, over the wire, and just simply heat it up a little bit, moving the lighter back and forth so that you can heat up that shrink tubing and get a good seal there. That one's good. Then we'll move on to the third one here. Do the same thing. Press that up in there as far as you can. Gravity usually hold it in there if you hold it at an angle, like so. And then you just simply heat it up here, and it shrinks down to the tubing, and it's never going to come off of there. Now those are done, and this is the end result of what it looks like here. So there you go. All the heat shrinking is all nicely there, and here's the third one over here. It seemed to have jumped out of my way of view here. See, all three of them are all shrink wrapped and good. No wires are exposed, and everything looks good. So now what we're going to do is go plug it in over there, and I'll show you that in just a second. Alright, here is, so now you can see the male terminals right here. So what you want to do is you want to line it up with the right color code. Now the switch doesn't have a color code. So what we're going to have to do now is what I should have done before I removed them, which is okay. That's why I didn't throw it away. So what you do is you take the switch, and here's the switch. So this switch has the color code of wire. These are all black wires, so they don't have color coded. So what you do is take the switch and you put them side by side like so. The squishy button here and the squishy button there. So then on the back side, you just simply see which hole goes to which color wire. So in this case, the one to the farthest the right, so this is the one here. So this one's on the farthest to the right. The wire down here, you can see they're all three in line. The wire farthest to the right from the squish tube All right, just for your viewing sake, since you can't see what I'm looking at and I can't get the camera right where I need to put it, I'm just going to tell you what color code the wire are. So the wire farthest to the right, see where I tap my finger right there, farthest to the right, that one is the blue wire with a white streak on it, a white line streak, which you can see the white line streak right there. And then the one in the middle is a black wire with a yellow streak wire on it right here. I'm tapping my finger in the middle. The middle wire is a black wire with a white streak, and there's the white streak. I'll show you in the camera. See the black wire, white strip. To the right is the blue wire with the white strip. This is a black wire with a yellow strip. All right, now to the farthest of the left, this wire right here I'm tapping on, that's the farthest to the left. And that is a solid black wire. So that one matches. So there you see there's a solid black wire. Nothing special. Mine's got a little dirt on it, but it's a black wire. So that's how you line up these things. So simply we're just going to connect the female wires to the particular wire. And we'll do that together right now. So the one on the farthest right is the blue and white. So we'll just connect the blue and white together. Oh, wire's in the way. Get that in there. It's kind of tight in there. All right, it's really tight. Trying to push that in there. We don't want it to come out, so we'll just do that. Okay. Now, the one in the middle, that one's the one you can't really screw up because it's in the middle. Now that one is the black and yellow, which is this one right here. Now you can't see too well, but there's the black and yellow, so you can see that right there. I'm just simply going to put this in there. It went in a little easier than the other one. See if I can push this one in a little bit harder. Ah, there we go. It went in a little bit farther. All right, now that one's in the middle. Now the other one is the solid black one. That's the easy one because it's just black. So, and that's on the far left. So we're going to put black with that right here. You can see in the picture. And we'll just shove that on there nice and tight. It popped in fine. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply zip tie them together. So I'm going to grab a zip tie here. Okay, what I decided to do is wrap it in this stuff here. It's called protective wire wrap. And you can buy this at Harbor Freight. You can buy it at any parts store, probably even Walmart. And you can pretty much buy that anywhere. So what I simply did is just cut it into about 3 to 4 inch pieces like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to put this around the wires here to give it a little bit more protection. So I'm going to put one in the one on the left side or right side wire, one on the left side wire, and then I'm just going to simply zip tie them together, and I'll show you that in a second here. All right, so what we're going to do here is you can see this tubing, we're going to put it around the wire. So I just start where the wire is already open down here and I just kind of push it on. And when you're just doing one wire, it's pretty easy. When you're doing multiple wires, it can be sometimes difficult. So you just simply want to pop it around the wire like so. And then I'm going to slide it up over the whole mechanism down here till it goes all the way over that, like so. It's just pushing around it. Then I'll take some zip ties and put it on there so that they don't touch, you know. And then I'm going to do the same on this other wire. I'm going to start up here at the top. And let's see, this one's on the outside. That one, blue one's in the middle. Nope, the blue one's on. Did I put that on the wrong wire? Nope, I put it on the right wire. Nope, I did put it on the wrong wire. So that one's already in the middle. Well, look at there. Put it right on the wrong wire. So I'm going to take that off. I meant to put that. Let's see, I can't see it too well. I think I got it on the right wire. Alright, blue's on the outside, black's on the outside. Okay, we'll just make that work because it really doesn't matter which one it is as long as we got it. No, that's the middle one. Okay, I did put it on the wrong wire. I did it at the top, the wrong place. So, okay, we'll put it on the outside here now that I can see it at the top. Alright, let's see if I can get this started on the bottom so I can just slide her down the tube here. There we go, that worked better. Go and start from the bottom and work to the top, and it just popped right in really easily. There we go. All right. There we go. Got that on the outside. We'll put this other one on the outside as well. I should have started at the top instead of trying to do it on the bottom by the actual connector, where I don't have very much wire to work with. So we're just simply sliding it over the wire up here right now. This one's being a little bit of a bear to pop in there. They're really, these little plastic tubes are real winded tight. All right, it just popped back out. Okay, now it's just a tight area to work. Now we're gonna slide it over the whole connector, like so. Sometimes you gotta twist it a little bit just to pop it on there because it's all grooved. And what I'm gonna do is turn it to where it's facing away from the connectors there. So the slots are actually facing the opposite direction so they can't touch. And then I'm simply going to pull that down there, and then since that's on the outside like so, you got the one wires in the middle, you got the other one on the end. So what I'm going to do is turn this to the outside so that it doesn't touch. You know what I think would be better too if I get some electrical tape. Alright, I got my electrical tape right here, and we'll just simply go over top of where the terminals are so that they definitely don't ever touch. And this will keep the wire tubing from moving anyways, right where you don't want it to move. So I'm just simply taping it over top of where the terminal connects together. And then I'll take my utility knife here and just cut the tape. You don't want to get your fingerprints on the tape, because then it won't stick properly and it'll eventually unravel because of the oil on your fingers. Make sure you slide the knife back because you don't want to slice yourself while you're trying to put this together. Then I'll simply do the same thing to the other outer wire. Put it right down the center here so that it don't touch. You want to start about 1/4 of an inch at the top of the wire, and then you simply just want to, I'll put that over the middle wire right there. There we go, pop that over there. Simply put it over that wire where you can see it's opened, and I'm just going to simply tape over top of that so that it doesn't touch. There we go, we got that taped. And then we're going to cut it with the knife again. Be real careful you don't cut yourself in here. It's really tight quarters. Make sure you slide that knife back every time, because I've had an instance one time I was working and cut myself, and because I didn't close the knife. So you learn from your mistakes. And then this one I'm just going to simply just tape. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off a piece of tape here, electrical tape, so that I can just wrap that one around there, just to give it a little bit of protection before I wrap this so I'm just simply gonna, there we are, I'm putting tape right over top of that one. So I'm just gonna, hopefully you're doing yours while I'm doing mine, and we can get this done, and I'll not touch that. You don't want to touch that tape, so I'm just going to smear it there. There, now it's nice and protected and covered. This tape, as long as you don't put your finger on it, get the oils on it, this tape will stick on there. There's tape on these vehicles that have been on there since day one for 30 years, and they've never come undone because they did it the right way, like I'm trying to do, and therefore they won't come back undone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this zip tie right here. This is the zip tie right here. You can get them at Harbor Freight pretty cheap. You can even get them at Ollie's pretty cheap. Department store there. So I'm just going to simply just connect it like so. And just pull it tight here. And I'm just going to squish it around these wires. About 1 inch from the end, because we don't want to... I'm just going to pull that tight like so. And then I'm going to do the same to this. Whoop, you know what? I forgot to put the wire in there like I was going to do. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Let me cut that one off real quick here. That's why we have spare zip ties. Okay, so Now, I told you before, we're going to put this wire, we're going to put two of these together and put this one in the middle like so. Got two on the outside and one in the center. And then we're just simply going to, what I like to do is slide it down a little bit so they're not ever going to, you know, touch each other. And then I'm just simply going to take the zip tie and put it around all of them just to give it kind of a little bit of a bond. Go ahead and pop that in there like so to cinch it up tight. And then I'm just going to just lightly, oop, that one slipped out again. Alright, it's a little awkward here. I'll push it in there. There we go. Now you can't see that well, but trying my best to show y'all. Alright, I'm just going to lightly put them. You don't need to put it super tight because we're just simply holding them together. We don't really need to squash them or nothing like that. So, ow, I keep zapping myself. Evidently, whatever I'm doing, my battery post keeps zapping my wet arm. So, I'm going to put this one the same way. I'm going to turn it around because that one's going the other way. Alright, so I'm going to simply just pop that in there, get that one together, and we'll slide those together like so. There we are, not super tight, just snug enough to where they're all pushed together there. Now you can see they're all neatly bundled together like so. Then you just take you can use a utility knife, or you can use a needle nose pliers to cut off the excess. I'm just going to try to use the utility knife so that just get in here and cut them off real easily like. And because I don't think I can get the other thing down in here. Just be careful that you don't accidentally cut a heater hose or something like that. Definitely don't want that to happen. That's why I use a really sharp utility knife so I don't have to worry about cutting anything else, because it'll cut right through that, no problem. Alright, so now that we got that apart and all together, then I'm simply going to take our wire connector here and I'm going to clip it right down into the, let me see if I can get the camera a little closer down there.